Hello Tigers, and welcome to the TMNtv Newscast for Wednesday, June 20th, 2018. Stay tuned for the latest news at Fort Hays State University and around the nation. I'm your news anchor Jaden Mount, and Haley White will be along later with sports. But first, here's what's making news in Tigerland. Storms Tuesday afternoon and evening left a swatch of damage across portions of western Kansas. Heavy rain began falling in the afternoon, inundating the town of Scott City with reports of up to 6 inches of rain. That left flash flooding, causing issues for residents of the town. A bit farther north in Logan County, the town of Oakley was pounded with large hail that damaged crops, vehicles, and homes and trees. Reports of hail up to 3 inches and nearly baseball size were relayed to the National Weather Service. The hailstorm lasted for several minutes. In St. Francis, an 81-mile-per-hour wind gust was recorded as the storms marched through the region, toppling large cottonwood trees. Closer to Ellis County, high winds were the main culprit as well. A 68-mile-per-hour wind gust was reported in Trigo Center, south of Waukene. Hays had reports of at least 60-mile-per-hour winds that damaged metal buildings, fences, trees, and several power poles east of town. Several were without power for a time before Midwest Energy was able to fix the lines. Multiple reports of more than 2 inches of rain were reported through Ellis and Trigo counties, with a report of more than 3 inches south of Waukene, according to Coco Rejas. The Republican primary for the Ellis County 1st District Commissioner continues to draw closer. Registered Republican voters will have to choose between current County Commissioner Marcy McCulland and former Ellis County Health Administrator Robert Butch Schuyler. The coming election marks the end of McCulland's first term as commissioner. June 1st served as the deadline for party candidates to file for the election. McCulland didn't file until, quote, the very last hour on the very last day, according to Schuyler. Contrary to Schuyler's focus on experience, McCulland has put forth her qualifications as a community leader for the position in question.
I'm a people person. I am visible in the community. I'm a strong community figure. I was a 4-H leader. I have an interest in genealogy. I consider myself an ambassador for Ellis County, representing the county at different functions and so forth, and I'm a taxpayer.
Regardless of this difference, both Republican candidates have relatively agreed on what the largest issue facing Ellis County today, the budget.
The largest issue that we face every year is the budget. We as commissioners don't like to raise taxes. However, if we don't raise taxes, there are some services that have to be cut. And when you want to cut services, it's really kind of bad. Okay, do you not maintain this road, or do you not fix this bridge, or further, we have the ambulance service. So are we going to curtail some ambulance services, or curtail some fire department services, because we have the rural fire department also under us, and it's really a hard decision.
McCulland's filing has resulted in the only primary race for a party in Ellis County. If you are a registered voter in the Republican Party and live in the 1st District of Ellis, you will be able to cast your vote for either Schuyler or McCulland at the August 7th primary. The 2018 winter wheat harvest is ahead of its usual schedule as farmers across Kansas are bringing in the crop sooner than dates documented in the past. Due to the lack of early precipitation and hot temperatures, farmers across the state have experienced harvests moving at a rapid pace. The predictions of a successful harvest did not look promising as a few months ago due to the drought Kansas was experiencing. According to the AgWeb, farmers of northwest Barton County predicted in April the yields would be low. Bill Burton, grain merchandiser of the Midland Marketing Co-op of Hays, says the data from the grain elevator this far concludes the southern locations are bringing in more wheat than the northern locations and continues to progress that way in similar fashion. Burton also confirmed the quality of the crop has been decent. However, the production has decreased, which was expected due to the ongoing conditions. The Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers says reports show yields are averaging anywhere from 20 to 67 bushels per acre across the state. Although the overall yields of the wheat crop is down, the Kansas Wheat Commission also confirmed the good quality of the crop. With immigration issues hitting the main stage recently in the South, Senate Republicans on Tuesday tried to organize to end the administration's policy of separating children from migrant parents. According to the Tribune News Service, President Donald Trump has said those crossing the border, quote, infest our country, end quote, and he's held firm on the law about illegal immigration. Trump has asked that any new immigration law should look at the wide-angle aspects of the problem and include money for a border wall. The issue has gained national attention lately, with images of children being housed in holding cells away from their parents. Trump has said the scenes portrayed on several media outlets is fake and the media is helping smugglers and traffickers. Trump has blamed Democrats for the ordeal, and House Republicans have hatched a bill to end this family separation issue at the border, but it is not supported by Democrats. A large portion of Big Creek Crossing's parking lot was full with carnival rides and games last weekend. Tiger Media Network's Ju Sue and Tristan Sass captured some of the sights and sounds of the multi-day event in Hayes.
On June 14th through the 17th, the Big Creek Crossing Mall held its annual carnival. Over the 4-day span, hundreds of individuals of all ages came to see what the carnival was all about. From a Ferris wheel and numerous other rides to many additional games, activities, and vendors, the carnival had everything to offer for a night of entertainment. Tiger Media Network multimedia journalist Ju Sue attended the event and will now bring you closer with an inside look of what was displayed at the carnival.
After you hook the ring on the bottle, your game begins. And you control that bottle. So if that bottle goes left, you go right. You got all control over that bottle with the stick. Go up to a 45-degree angle. After you're at a 45-degree angle, guys, you have to push. If you don't push and leave your arm out there, you will not win. Just like we show you every time. Okay? You see that one? Okay.
For more news around FHSU, be sure to stay tuned with the Tiger Media Network. For TMN, I'm Tristan Sass.
On Friday, 2 Wyandotte County Sheriff deputies who were transporting a prisoner were shot during a transfer. The prisoner somehow overpowered the deputies while being moved from the Wyandotte County Courthouse to the jail across the street. Preliminary investigations have led officials to believe the prisoner somehow got a hold of one of the deputies' guns. Deputy Patrick Rower, 35, died from injuries Friday, and Deputy Theresa King, 44, died from injuries Saturday. Funeral services took place this week in Kansas City, Kansas for the 2 law enforcement officers. They were the 3rd and 4th law enforcement personnel in Wyandotte County to be killed in duty since 2016. According to the Tribune News Service, President Donald Trump on Monday signed a space policy directive to manage space traffic and debris. Trump said he would also direct the Defense Department to create a 6th division of the armed forces, saying, quote, "We are going to have the Air Force and we are going to have the Space Force separate but equal," end quote. TNS reported a similar idea for a Space Corps under the umbrella of the U.S. Air Force was passed in the House 2019 National Defense Authorization Act, but did not make it through the Senate. In order to create a new military branch, a congressional vote would have to take place. The highest court in the state of Kansas has decided to delay its decision on whether the execution of a convicted murderer will stand. 19-year-old Jody Sanderholm would become the victim of then 23-year-old Justin Thurber in 2007. Thurber was sentenced to death in 2009, but the conviction was appealed to the Kansas Supreme Court, claiming he had a developmental disability. The court announced it was postponing the decision on June 15th. Justice Dan Biles wrote the opinion of the court in the 126-page brief. "Our problem on the appeal," wrote Biles, is identifying the law to apply to resolve these questions because that law changed after Thurber's trial. The United States Supreme Court twice expanded Eighth Amendment requirements for making intellectual disability determinations in death penalty cases. The decision did not sit well with Sanderholm family. "Yeah, I'm upset about the whole system entirely," Brian Sanderholm, Jody's father, said in an interview with KSN. "I cannot for the life of me believe our system has gotten to the point where you can actually go out and do a crime like this and not have to pay for it with the ultimate sentence." The case will be sent back to the lower court to decide if Thurber has a developmental disability or not. Those are the stories making headlines in the world of news this week. After we return from the short break, Haley will be here with your sports update.
I think there's a perception out there that web and mobile application development is this field where you sit behind a computer all day and code. And that's not it at all, right? And there's even a perception out there that geek is bad. But I think students should embrace their inner geek. We don't code all day. We look at issues, we look at problems, and try to figure out the pieces of the puzzle and how to put them together to build things.
I was able to learn JavaScript, HTML, CSS, PHP, just kind of the whole 9 yards with that. So I really enjoyed the full program that they offered here.
Anything that you're interested in, the field of web and mobile application development, there's a value to. There's nothing like what we have in the informatics department. If you choose to take everything in the buffet that we offer, you'll be very well prepared for any type of job opportunity that's out there.
The talented prospect Lael Collins from LSU.
For a touchdown by Mike Evans.
The Hayes Larks are coming off a weekend sweep of Oklahoma City as they entered 6 straight games against Jayhawk League foes. Tiger Media Network's Ju and Sue and Tristan Sass have this recap of the action.
Entering the weekend atop the Jayhawk League standings, the Hayes Larks hosted the Oklahoma City Indians in a non-conference 3-game series to look to build upon their early season success. On Friday, it didn't take the Larks long to make some noise and gain momentum for the weekend ahead. Hayes scored 3 runs in the bottom of the first inning and added an additional 3 in the following frame to take a 6-0 lead after 2 innings. Oklahoma City ended the shutout with a run in the 4th, but the Larks had an answer. Hayes continued with a strong offensive performance with 3 more runs in the 5th. The Larks led 9-1 after 5 innings and would go on to win 15-1. Saturday was a similar story as the Larks led from the beginning by scoring 2 runs in the bottom of the first inning. Hayes tacked on 3 more runs in the following few innings, and the Larks had a 3-pitcher no-hitter going through 7. The Indians ended the no-hitter in the 8th and scored a run, but Hayes had too much firepower and went on to win 6-1. Lastly, on Sunday, the Larks once again took an early lead with 2 runs in the first inning. Both teams scored a run in the second, and Hayes held a 5-4 lead heading into the bottom of the 4th. The Larks ended any hope for Oklahoma City by scoring 7 runs in the 4th, including a grand slam by Easton Kirk. Hayes would go on to win 12-5 and sweep OKC. The The Larks are now 12-3 on the season, including 6-2 in the Jayhawk League. Hayes will resume conference play Wednesday in Dodge City against the Athletics. For more news about the Hayes Larks, be sure to stay tuned with the Tiger Media Network. For TMN, I'm Tristan Salt.
The Larks will play at Dodge City before returning home to host the A's Thursday night at Larks Park. Then the Larks hit the road for a 3-game series at the Derby Twins before returning home Monday to host Dodge City. Brooks Koepka became only the 7th player to win the U.S. Open title in back-to-back years on Sunday. The golfer fired a 2-under par 68 in the final round to claim the tourney by a stroke over Tommy Fleetwood. Fleetwood tied a record with a 63 during Sunday's final round, but Koepka was able to make enough putts to hang on for the win at the Southampton, New York course. The 28-year-old became the tournament's first repeat winner since Curtis Strange in 1989. A member of the legendary Earnhardt racing family will be in Hayes on Sunday night at the RPM Speedway. Bobby Dale Earnhardt, the grandson of former NASCAR driver Dale Earnhardt, will be competing in the 3/8 mile dirt oval on Saturday night. Earnhardt will be competing in the modified division. A night earlier, he will be at Salina Speedway. Races are set for approximately 7 p.m. with hot laps at 6 p.m. General admission ticket gates open at 5 p.m. Tickets are $10 for those 13 and older, with those 12 and younger free. It's also race-free cure night at the Speedway. The 2018 World Cup kicked off last week with host Russia blanking Saudi Arabia 5-0. The host improved to 2-0 in the group play with another win Tuesday against Egypt. The biggest surprise to many so far was Mexico's 1-0 win over defeating World Cup champ Germany on Sunday. The country celebrated so much during the game that a minor seismic activity was registered. Another upset belonged to Senegal, which defeated Poland 2-1 on Tuesday. The tournament continues until July 15th. It was also announced last week that the U.S. would host the 2026 World Cup along with Canada and Mexico. The U.S. men's national team failed to qualify for this year's tournament. Sporting KC advanced to the next round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup after a thrilling 3-2 win over FC Dallas on Saturday night at Children's Mercy Park in Kansas City, Kansas. Daniel Shallowy scored 2 goals, but it was a late goal by Johan Kroze that lifted the Sporting up to the next round. His blast came in the 89th minute as the Sporting held off FC Dallas for the win. Sporting is the defending Open Cup champion and is seeking its 5th Open Cup title. The NFL announced next year's Pro Bowl will be played in Orlando at Camping World Stadium. It will be the 3rd year the game takes place in Florida. Many of the athletes competing combine with the NFL to aid the community with service projects during Pro Bowl week. That's all we have for this episode. Check back next week for another TMNtv Newscast. To stay up to date on the latest news and information throughout the week, visit TigerMediaNet.com. Until next week, remember, roar Tigers.
The Tiger Media Network is Fort Hays State University's independent student media organization. It's a student employment opportunity where you can work for either the news side or the sports side. So you can be on live sports production, which produces all of the live sports broadcasts that we do, or you could be on the news side and do news stories covering things on campus. So presidential announcements, Student Government Association. We bring that news to the student community and the Hays community as well.
You don't realize how much Fort Hays State has to offer until you're here.
I mean, it is definitely, this is a land of opportunity here.
I just got back from the MIAA tournament in Kansas City a couple weeks ago where we worked with other production crews including Pitt State and Central Missouri. And it's a great time. I've gone there the last couple years.
For me anyway, I get to do sports, which is what I love. And if live productions is where that's at, this is the perfect place to do it. We have almost everything that you could possibly imagine.
Tiger Media Network allows you the opportunity to take the skills you've learned and put them forward in a real world, real application setting that allows you to flourish and grow as a professional, and that will only help you and benefit you when you graduate and go into the real world workforce.